This video will focus on walkway construction. The first step in walkway construction is crossbeam preparation. So the crossbeams will initially arrive to site as long units that will need to be cut. So you'll first need to measure out and mark those units for the length that you need, and then you can use heavy machinery to cut those units to the desired length that you would like. Then you will create drill holes into the crossbeam. So you'll want to mark these drill points on the crossbeam, and then you can use a drill machine to create these holes, frequently spraying water on the drill point in order to prevent overheating. The next step is sanding down the crossbeams to create a smooth surface for painting. Then you can paint the crossbeams with anti-corrosive paint. This anti-corrosive paint is important, so you'll want to cut the paint a little bit with gasoline or a different material, and then you'll want to put at least 2 to 3 layers of paint to create a full coverage on the crossbeam. The second step in walkway construction is preparation of deck boards. So the deck boards will come already stained and the length needed for the walkway, but you will need to cut some of those down as nailers. And then once you cut those nailers down, you'll need to create pilot holes in the nailers in order to assemble them with the crossbeams. The next step is the crossbeam and nailer assembly. So once you've created pilot holes in the nailers, you'll want to lay it down with the holes pointing up and place the crossbeams on top in order that the holes in the crossbeams line up with the holes in the nailers. From here, someone will come through and loosely bolt in screws into all 4 holes. At first, you just want them to be loose in order to make sure that the alignment is correct. And then you'll want that same person to go through and fully secure the screws so that the crossbeam is fully attached to the nailer. Now the fourth step is suspender preparation. The suspenders will come as long rebar units that will need to be cut and bent into shape. And so you usually will have a jig on site that will be used for bending the rebar, but if not, you can just create a jig as we had to do on our site, and that jig will be measured out so that it can be the exact bending lengths needed for the suspender units. Now the fifth step is crossbeam and suspender assembly. So how this process will work is one person will pass up the crossbeam and nailer units up to the walkway cables. From there, you will, on each side, slide the suspenders on the long ways through the inner hole. and then the shorter side of the suspender will go through the outer hole. Now the two people on top will bend the suspender tightly around the handrail cables so that the suspender almost becomes parallel to itself. And then from here, the two people on the bottom will tighten the shorter suspender lengths around the crossbeam. From here, two people on the team will hold on to the handrail cables as they kick the crossbeam nailer suspender units out to make space for the decking process. The next step is decking. So the deck boards are laid out in a staggered pattern, and then once you lay out 2 or 3 units at a time, you will drill through the pilot holes in the planks so that you can create a hole in the nailers below. Now, after you create those holes in the plank and the nailer below, you will secure a screw into that hole. But the initial part of decking, you will only be screwing in one of the 2 holes in each plank. And then later, once all planks are placed down, a team will go through and fully secure all the planks with any screws that are missing. And this is just another view of when you will need to lay down 3 planks in a staggered pattern. And the same way you will create a hole through the nailer with the drill and then just secure 1 screw in one of the 2 holes in each of the planks. And then once all planks are nailed in, the team will go through and fully secure any holes that are missing screws. The next step and the final step of walkway construction is fencing. So the team will roll out the fencing on the walkway and secure the fencing to the cables by wrapping a piece of tie wire on the top part of the suspender and the fencing, and then the bottom part of the suspender and the fencing. This will secure the fencing to the suspenders. From here, the team will then go through and wrap the fencing around the handrail cables to create a smooth surface.
Again. Just keep doing your thing, keep going.
Now, the final step is to attach the fencing to the walkway planks. So here you will use a little metal nailer and then a screw, and then you will drill the screw and the nailer into the decking planks, and this will secure the fencing to the decking.